everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from and what time. This is Alex Tomaszewska, your confidence coach, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Anja Steensig. Anja has been for over a decade a TV and radio host in Denmark until she decided to quit her career to pursue something different. And we're going to be talking about the journey that followed. Right now, Anja is an international speaker, an author, and a mentor for those who want to experience true connection in their life. And we're going to be talking about the courage that drives difficult decisions, what it means to love yourself, and at the end of the interview, what is the antidote to fear, especially in the current situation of being under lockdown with the coronavirus. Anja, thank you so much for meeting with me today. It's a real honor for me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So let's start with that point in life, which is I love to hear stories about when people made an important decision, a very difficult decision. What allowed you to make that decision, actually? Because we need to allow ourselves. Something has to happen. So let's talk about that first.
Well, I think it's the easiest thing to start with is what happened. Mm-hmm. And you know, there are many points in my life where I have had to make very big decisions that have completely changed my path. Yes. But I think the first one was when was this? In 2011. Mm-hmm. I had been in television for many years and radio. I was doing a morning show at this point. And television and radio was never really something that I had aspired to be a part of. I never dreamed of becoming a TV host or a radio host. It just happened.
Right.
And I always, I was so jealous of people who were passionate about something. I was so jealous of people who knew that this was their place in the world and this is what I want and this is where I'm going. I never had any ambition when it came to my work. It was just, I happened to be there and I enjoyed it. It was a privilege and I had a lot of amazing experiences in that position. Mm-hmm. But then in the beginning of 2011, I was called in for a meeting with my boss, first day after Christmas. And they had just decided that the morning show would change completely. There would be no journalism anymore. From now on, it was just going to be funny. And they had hired a comedian that was going to co-host. And I was like, wow. And you decided this when? Oh, and by the way, he will be here in an hour, so you can start planning the show for tomorrow.
Oh, I see this in movies. I didn't think it was real life too.
Oh, it's real life out there. So I was just like, oh, this was not what I signed up for. So I made a very, very quick decision. And I didn't really get to think about what I was going to do, but I just felt so strongly that I had to say, no, that's just going to be without me. And I think that was the first time in my life that I really just made a choice, made a true, deliberate choice for my life. Mm-hmm. And it physically felt like something just clicked into place for me.
Right.
Like the pieces of the puzzle just click.
Yes.
And it was so empowering. I never felt that strong ever. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea. I had been experiencing for some time my spiritual life had evolved, and it had become more and more present and active in me, and I sort of knew that there was something there that I needed to dive more into, but I had no idea how whatsoever. I I couldn't see myself as someone who would, be a practitioner of any sort, or so I had no idea. I was clueless.
Was there
But
any fear with that? Let's discuss a little bit. Was there fear in that, or was this just this knowing that everything is going to be all right? How did you deal with that? Because a lot of people right now are in that spot. So let's
yeah,
make it clear.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think the big difference here, because I didn't actually have any fear at that point,
Mhm.
because it was the feeling that I didn't have a choice. This was just how it was. I never considered staying for a
Mhm.
second.
Mhm.
So it was, I was just sort of pulled into it, and the feeling of being empowered by it was so strong that the fear was not there. I just knew that everything was going to be all right.
Mhm.
So that makes it different from if you lost your job, or it wasn't your own decision to be in the position you're in. That would be a more terrifying situation to
Mhm.
be in, sure.
I get
So
you, but then when you start searching and you find that something that doesn't fear you but excites you, that's a sign that this is your motivating power,
yes,
and it's totally
and
worth it to listen to that.
even though I didn't know where I was going, then the feeling of just being, this is just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a choice. I just have to surrender into whatever it is life is going to give me now. That doesn't mean that I'm not fearful in other situations, or that there haven't been other times in my life where I have been fearful. But in that situation, it was just empowering.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fear came, um, some months after, when I found out what I had to do,
Uh-huh.
uh, because I think actually it was only 2 weeks before I knew what to do.
Uh-huh.
And I woke up a morning, with my head full of jewelry. And I have never worn jewelry. I had no interest in jewelry. I had no interest in crystals. I had no interest I didn't know anything about, but I had a whole collection in my head, and I knew that, and a whole concept of how to make a jewelry that would empower
Wow.
people through crystals. And it was so strong that I just had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I spent the next 4 years creating this spiritual jewelry brand. And that meant that I had, as a public person, I had to openly stand up and say, okay, so I believe that crystals can actually have an effect on people, you
Wow.
know, and that was terrifying. That
Mm-hmm.
was that was terrifying. That took a lot of courage. And in the beginning, I was one big excuse. When people asked, so what are you doing now? Oh, I'm making jewelry, and they're kind of spiritual, you know. And I would just blush and stare at the ground, and and overall people reacted really, really well to it, much better than I thought. But in those days, I
Mm.
still got, um, the reaction of people just being like that. Not that much, but they were there. And
Yeah.
what I found was, during those years, um, the more I dared to believe in my own project, the
Mm.
more I leaned into what I knew to be true to me. Um, the fewer of these reactions I got, and
Mm.
it became so obvious. And by the time I was really, I had surrendered into who I am, and I had embraced what I am completely and my truth. I never see that.
Mm.
And I say things now that are way, way, way beyond I believe crystals can
Oh,
help
yeah.
people, you know, but it comes from a place of just knowing my own truth. Uh, so that is how people meet it. It's like, oh, okay, it's not my truth, but interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I never get the other reaction anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been a very interesting experience as well, in terms of, you know, courage and fear. So it's just good to know
Mm-hmm.
that um, when we are afraid of other people's reactions, the journey we have to make is into believing 100% ourselves, because
Yes.
then there will be no weird reactions. No.
Mm-hmm. And this is so important. I think what you just mentioned is um, maybe not every, but most of the young entrepreneurs, fresh entrepreneurs fear that people will not accept me. And whatever they do, you know, it may be something less woo woo and something
Yeah.
more normal, but we're just so afraid of that. And how people react to us depends completely on the amount of respect and love that we give ourselves.
Completely.
And it's such a difficult to grasp concept for a lot of people. This is where we come in, people that have been through that,
Yeah.
because you need to go through that to fully understand it. It's like this joke of a professor who's talking to who comes to the cafeteria after a class and laughing, and another professor asks him, what are you laughing about? Oh, because I've been teaching this topic for 25 years and I finally understood it. So
Yes.
once you're past that, then you know what everybody's going through and how to get them through that. And it's such an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Right. So last time when we were talking before this interview, you mentioned something that was I find it was really important. You said that you sometimes do have fear and you sometimes do have doubts, some sort of doubts, but then there is this force that brings you up. So how do you deal with that fear and doubts? They're not going away. They will be there present in your life. There's a way to deal with all that.
Well, what I found um, is that when we dare to be vulnerable enough
Mm.
to open our hearts, we gain access to a part of ourselves that is extraordinarily powerful. It is actually the most powerful force in the entire universe. It is, you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it what you gain access to. The way I experience it is your soul, and your soul as a part of the one soul of God, of love, which is all the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the thing that really changed my life was the experience that it was all right here. It was all right here. I didn't have to look in books. I didn't have to lean into any specific religions or philosophies or systems or rituals. It was all right here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was, when we speak about self-love, is that I actually don't think it's possible for a human being to unconditionally love
Yeah.
itself. I don't think it's possible. My human will always be dissatisfied or frustrated with other parts of myself.
Yeah.
But my soul can love anything,
Mm-hmm.
anything. And when we are fearful, when we are in doubt, when we lack courage, when we are in pain, when we are scared shitless because there's a virus in the world, the only step we need to take is that which connects us to our soul. so our soul can hold that fear. It's not about, you know, um, for a long time there was this trend about being positive, and just pour some sugar on it and pretend it's not there and just be positive. And I really, really don't believe in that. I believe the fear and the hurt and the pain is there to wake up our soul. It's like a baby. It's like a baby calling for its mother or its father saying, I need you, I need you, I need you. Just calls for your attention and for your love. And your soul is able to, to give that love. And when you give that love to your fear, to your hurt, to your pain, it relaxes. Because it is held in that embrace and accepted and respected as a part of you. They are parts of you. They are your own children. They are, you know, when we try to fight our shame and we try to fight our weakness and our everything that we are dissatisfied with, we are at war with ourselves.
Yes.
It's just a constant battle.
Yeah.
And for me, I think the only way we can find peace is by allowing our soul to step back into the picture and hold our human being. Yeah.
That's beautiful, and that's exactly what Anja does with her meditations online. We will get to that. It's this is actually how we met, because I was a part of that, and she's an amazing guide. But just one thing that came to me before we get into that, you mentioned last time when we were talking, you know, what it means to show yourself love, and in part it's that, but also um, you were doing. I would love to speak about this example of doing you doing the meditations online. You were doing that, but for 3 weeks, because people need that. But then you had to take some rest, and this is the part that most of us just decline ourselves. We don't take rest. We just go and keep doing the thing that we think is right, other people need. But really the right way to go and the kind and the loving way to go is something different.
Well, this has been one of the important lessons of my life, and I think I have to unfold it a little bit more into my story, because I have had, when I was in my early 20s and I was just starting out on television, I had a depression. I came out on the other side of it, put back my, you know, back to normal. Now we go back to normal.
Yeah.
And a few years later, I completely collapsed with stress. And I was at home for a year with that. And still, I hadn't really gotten the message that I was doing something that was not good for me. So, you know, on the other side, I made a few adjustments in, okay, I have to be a little bit more careful with my work, but it was still putting the smile back on, going out, going back to normal. We have to get back to normal.
Oh, yes.
And then in 2011, same a year later, after I quit my media career, I went into a very deep depression, and I was just out for 6-7 months, just lying in my bed staring out the window. And the way I see it, it's like life, God, whatever we want to call it, is very concerned about our well-being.
Yeah.
So if we get too much off track if we lose ourselves, if we put on too thick an armor, too many masks, life will come and shake you
Yes.
from a deep, 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 deep love for who you truly are. Just to remind you, say, remember, just shaking off all the layers, leaving you completely fragile and naked and raw and lost, but without all the layers, being ripped off. That's what any real deep life crisis does to you.
Yes.
Life is showing you, okay, remember who you are. And then what we normally do is, the minute we get better, we do everything we can to put it all back on and go back to normal.
It's like with COVID, everybody's waiting for things to go back to normal.
Yes, exactly. And right now you can take it. It's what's happening on a big scale right now. It's the
same thing.
It's life doing this to the whole planet.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see if we are all just going to go back to normal, or if we will choose.
Who will understand? Who will get the message?
How many will get the message? Exactly. So I did that a few times until it really hit me hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are so many stories, in this, and I have to be certain that I tell the right one, because there's so much I would love to tell you about that big depression and what it really was, because I actually don't consider it a depression. My psychiatrist did, but
so the difference of opinions.
So, but in terms of what we are talking about right now, what I have found is that, I am a very sensitive person.
Yeah.
And I am blessed. I am blessed with an incredible sensitivity that makes me able to connect so deeply with everything around me. And that's the biggest blessing of my life. But when you have blissful heights like that, you have to meet you have words for it from an engineering perspective.
Sinusoid. I say sinusoid. You say wave. I like that.
But it is like being a wave, everything in life always goes in circles. And for me, it is just this, okay, up, I give, I serve. I have so much I want to give out into the world. And then I just have to, it's like nature just has this movement with me and with everybody. It's just in different sizes and shapes, So I have to retract. I have to reload. I have to recalibrate, because every time I do something like that, as when I did the 21 days of antidote to fear meditation, it is always evolving. It is a constant expansion of my instrument of being able to hold the energy that is working through me. So when I go into something like that, I expand, and until a point where I just have to recalibrate. Actually, it's like that new state, that new frequency, that new size. I have to fit it. So I'm just put to sleep almost. I just have to lie down and rest and rest and rest and completely withdraw. And I can't do anything. So, and I have to deeply, deeply honor and respect that, because if I don't, I go into a much deeper and much more painful state. So yeah, it's very much about becoming more and more attuned to uh, what my body, what my mind, what my soul is calling for.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And really listen and really respect it.
Exactly.
But if I don't, I collapse.
That's a very important message, because so many people just go, think that there's no time to stop, and actually stopping gives you more time. It's so counterintuitive. But people who have been through this, and I see people who have taken the right message from depression, they have landed. I have landed the hard way. If I don't respect my body, it's just going to take me into a really dark place. And that's the fantastic, brilliant wisdom that comes from depression. And I'm very glad we can talk about it so that others can learn and don't have to go through that.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
so.
Yeah, it has to be honored. And I think also, if you are on a spiritual journey, if you have said, yes, I am here to serve something that is greater than me, then it comes at a cost. It's not, I think some people have a picture about being very spiritual as just one big bliss. It will never, ever, ever be one big bliss, because as long as you are saying yes to this, you will keep expanding. And as long as you keep expanding, you will need to withdraw. You will need to push through. You don't truly transform without what's it called?
Getting out
Resistance.
of your resistance. Yes, it's the resistance that takes
But
you.
there will always be, exactly. So life, when you say yes, I want more, I want to serve more, I want to, be more, then life will give you obstacles that you have to pull through, because that's the only way you can truly grow. So it is part of the journey. Yeah.
It is, and we need to embrace it, and it's hard, but it's wonderful at the same
Exactly.
time.
But it is really hard sometimes, I have to admit.
It
But
is.
it's absolutely welcome.
Yes, 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 and that's a great message. So let's just to finish, let's talk about the antidote to fear. What it is that we can do at these times, and any times when we're fearful. But right now, the whole world is immersed in fear. So how can we protect ourselves and at the same time do something for others to help them out?
I think it's, yeah, it's common knowledge that to help other people, we really do have to help ourselves first, to really be in the world from a loving place and being something for others. We need to give ourselves that love first. And in the practice, it actually came up as I went along. I just knew I had to do something to give to feed the love of the world instead of feeding the fear. So I began doing the meditations, and they evolved by themselves, because I just surrender into whatever, and sometimes I came out of it really surprised. Well, okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So, but the practice that came out of it is really focused on two things, and of course I would tell anyone interested to go check them out. They're somewhere on my Facebook page, and they're all a little bit different, but tune into which one you need to listen to check it out. But so, as I said before, what we need to do is to answer the call of that baby that is screaming. So when we are fearful, it is like a baby just reaching up its arms, calling for our love. So to connect with our soul, the very, very simple way is to follow the love. Anything, anything that makes you feel love is a key to your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you can think of that make you feel, oh, you know, that make, if it's, you know, if you have children, think of your child. If you have a puppy, think of your puppy. If you have, you know, if you have a deep love for God or for a religious figure, think about that, and allow that feeling of love to just grow in you. Just breathe it in. Just, you know, try to feel into how does it actually feel to feel love.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to feel love? And the way I see it, when you feel love, it is because your heart has opened up, and the love that resides within is coming out. So it's not something that's outside of you. It's something within you that you suddenly get in touch with because your heart has opened. So it's a practice of opening the heart by following the love. So you recall the feeling of love by thinking of someone. You enhance it by just breathing into it and allowing it to grow, just like, you know, blowing on embers on a fire to just. And then when you feel, okay, I have a really good feeling of love, big feeling of love inside of me, you can, there are different ways to do it, but then you recall the fear, and maybe you can imagine that you take a step and look at your human being, that you take a step out of yourself and look at yourself from the outside, and just look at that person, this person that you know so well, this person who is in fear right now, and you stand there from a perspective of your soul, just feeling so much love. And then you just, from a place of compassion for the pain that you see in this person in front of you, you just embrace them and hold them and just allow them to relax into your embrace. Or you can just stay in your human being and recall the sensation, the feeling of the fear, and just send the love to that feeling. Sometimes it's really helpful to get that picture of a baby reaching up its arms, just longing for your love, and just pick it up and just hold it. So that's one part of it. And then there's another part that I found out was really, really important, because love is really, really not just about being sweet and kind and compassionate and, you know, saying yes. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. There is so much strength. There is so much courage. There's so much dignity in love. And this aspect of love is, you know, love is just love don't compromise the highest good of all. Everything is for the highest good of all and for your truth, you know. And so we have to allow every aspect of love. So it's not just, you know, the sweetness, but it is also the strength and the power of it, because that's the kind of love that will help you
Mm.
make the decisions you need to make, to stand up tall, to say no to what doesn't serve you. So I find that when I do this, or that's what appeared during the meditations, that I always have to have that other side as well. So after the embrace, I start breathing in the other aspects. And it's actually all about getting to know the physical expression of these qualities. So if you know how strength feels because you have examined it, so well, how does it feel to feel strong? Oh, okay, feels like this. then it's so much easier to connect with. Then you can always breathe in strength if you know what strength feels like. You can always breathe in courage if you know what courage feels like. Yes. And dignity, and these powerful feelings. So when I do the antidote to fear practice, I breathe in the love, I hold the fear, and then I breathe in the power. So you leave the practice feeling that, or just knowing or being connected to the experience that you are actually so powerful. You can hold anything. You can even hold fear. And because this is also about not giving your power away to the fear, not giving your power away to the worry. Because when we are in fear and when we worry and when we are actually giving away our power to something outside of ourselves, to a part of ourselves that is not grown up enough to be captain of the ship. So we need to take that power back.
Step in.
Did it become too complicated? Was it too much at once?
No. Well, I hope for the viewers, I know the concept, and I think it makes sense. You first need to soften yourself, really soften yourself down, so then you can gain strength. But it's not putting an armor on. It's the strength that flows within you, and you need to recognize it. And it's completely different than this armor that we wear every day. This is something that people see in you, and they know, oh, she's not wearing an armor. This is different.
Yes, and the interesting thing is that when we do a practice like this, and this practice is definitely not just for when we are fearful. This is a practice that is very good every day to connect with our soul, to connect with that part of ourselves. Because when we do that, if you sit down every day and connect with your soul, with the softness and with the strength, then your defenses will melt away from the inside out. Because you have to be careful not just to rip off all your defenses. That can be really, really painful and forceful, and you have to allow you have to allow your own development to unfold at its own pace. Also, don't force it. Don't force your heart open. Don't be violent with yourself.
Yes.
But if you connect with that part, it will just gently become unnecessary. You won't need the armor anymore because the strength fills you up from the inside out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So last question I have for you is, how can people find you? Can they go on your page and see the meditations that were recorded? If you...
Very good question. These meditations are on my Facebook page. So if they just go to Anja Steensig on Facebook, they can find all these antidote to fear videos.
We'll put that under the video.
I do have a web page. There is not that much on it right now. I am in the process of getting some programs, new programs, because I just changed from just doing it in Danish into doing it in English. So I have to, get some more stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
And then actually, um, I should probably give you this link, because on May 4th to May 10th, there will be, and I won't get too much into it, but I'm really excited about it. Um, there will be something called ETTG, uh, a community that I have been part of for the last 5 years of it's European Transformational Teachers Gathering. And usually we go to Spain, people from all over Europe, transformational teachers, meet and get inspired by each other. And it has been the greatest gift of my life. And so now, because of Corona this year, we cannot go to Spain, which means that this year it will be an online global gathering, which makes it accessible for every visionary, every light worker, everyone who wants to get inspired. And I will be speaking and doing my thing there as well. So that would be a way to experience me and experience other amazing people
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I would actually love to attend that. So we'll
yeah.
put a link to that also under the video. Thank you so much for taking the time and meeting with us today. And I want to wish you a fantastic day. Thank you, Anja.
Thank you, and you have a blessed, beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.